Karl, I'm going to issue you with a challenge.
Uh-huh.
At no point in this video about Transformers are you allowed to mention Transformers Devastation.
Fuck off, put a clip in.
The humans are evacuated and our mission is clear. Save the city and stop Megatron.
The live-action Transformers movies are about as close as you can get to a soulless corporate cash grab. That said, they do have a single saving grace in the form of Bumblebee, the only character in the movies with any personality, and one who they deliberately made look as shitty as possible, at least in the first film.
The first Transformers movie, that was quite a while back now.
Also as well, it was the first Transformers movie, so I don't begrudge anyone who's forgotten what Bumblebee looked like in that movie. So here's a clip of when he's first introduced.
Kid, come on, get out the car.
No. You said cars pick their drivers.
Well, sometimes they pick a driver with a cheap-ass phone. Out the car.
What kind of car is he? Because I'm not particularly a gearhead.
Neither am I, and I had to look this up, but in that scene, Bumblebee takes the form of a 1976 Camaro, which the filmmakers deliberately picked out because they thought it was the worst possible Camaro, because the idea was that Bumblebee has to look like a huge pile of shit when he's first introduced.
Wasn't Bumblebee a beetle originally?
Yeah, in the original cartoons, he's a little cute beetle.
Why is he a Camaro?
Oh,
I know the answer already.
Yeah, it's because product placement. Because General Motors had dollars on the Transformers movies, and they heavily advised the filmmakers that all of the heroic Autobots should be General Motors cars.
Even the beaten up shit one.
Yes, so even when Bumblebee was shit, and I think they do put a nod to the fact he was a VW Beetle by putting him next to a VW Beetle in the scene that where Sam Witwicky or Shia LaBeouf's character goes to buy him.
I sold a car the other day. Gee, holy cow.
But no, General Motors was like, no, we advise you to make all the heroic Autobots General Motors products. And they initially suggested making Bumblebee a Super Bee, which is a car. I'm not familiar with the name of the car, but apparently there's a car called the Super Bee, and that's what it was going to be. Obviously, Bumblebee, Super Bee, because it's Transformers movie and subtlety's dead. And they went, no, he's got to be a Camaro, but he's got to be a shit Camaro. And they said the 1976 Camaro was the worst one they ever made. And they said, we even went as far to insist upon the fact that you had to have the chrome grille, because the chrome grille just looks so shit. So they went onto eBay and they bought 3 beat up shitty Camaros with a chrome grille.
Did they actually buy them on eBay, or is that just...
No, they bought them on eBay for about $6,000 or less. And I think one of them cost them less than $2,000. And apparently that was of paramount importance because they wanted it to be realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character bought Bumblebee for a couple $1,000s. I love the idea that they sat down and, okay, we want it to be realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character with a couple of $1,000s could buy an old Camaro, so find an old Camaro on eBay for a couple $1,000s to prove that it can be done, and then like 20 minutes into the movie, he turns into a brand new Camaro.
What?
That scene is like, you can see a GM executive just like wanking himself silly, going, yeah. And the thing that cracks me up about that is, at that time when the film was being made, that Camaro didn't exist. It was a concept car that General Motors gave to the film crew because they wanted it to, the release of the movie to coincide with the release of that car.
To try and get sales of the car.
Yeah, to like promote it. Oh, look, this is the new Camaro. Look at this old busted piece of shit. Now look at this like piece of hot, like old and busted, new hotness. Literally that.
Old and busted, new hotness.
But they went, oh, realistic that Shia LaBeouf's character could buy a beat-up old Camaro. Why does no one question the fact that, like, 3 days after he buys it, he drives home in a car that doesn't exist?
It genuinely looks like you're watching a commercial.
Well, it is a commercial, isn't it? Because obviously General Motors had dollars on Transformers, and it's like in Jurassic World, where Mercedes-Benz like paid money to have their cars feature in the movie. And that's fine, movies cost a lot of money to make, but every single time they pull up in a car, the Mercedes-Benz logo flies towards the camera.
So GM just threw enough money at the film to get all of the heroic Autobots to be their cars.
Yes, but, and this is what always cracks me about product placement, because when you've got money on a film, you don't want your product to be shown in a negative light. but they had to put Decepticons in the Transformers movie, and they obviously didn't want the Decepticons to be General Motors cars, because they didn't want the General Motors logo on something that's just murdering people. So what they did for Barricade, and I fucking love this, like Barricade is Bumblebee's rival, like the police car, they based his design on that of a Mustang. But obviously, they didn't want to give like Mustang free advertising, they gave it the shape of a Mustang, but it doesn't have any branding. And I think they missed a trick there, because Ford basically got free advertising for Mustang in the fact that you can go watch that movie and go, wow, that Camaro is pretty cool, but I'm a big fan of that car that's trying to kill Shia LaBeouf. I always got annoyed when I found this out, that Ford never tried to capitalise on it and say, yeah, our car tried to end the Transformers franchise at the first movie by killing Shia LaBeouf. Because if Barricade would have killed Shia LaBeouf, the movie franchise would have ended there, and we wouldn't have got Transformers last night.
Today's Brad Photoshop, a billboard with a poster for Ford Mustang.
It's got a Barricade on it. And can we talk about as well how Barricade is so much smarter than Bumblebee? Because like, the Decepticons, they're stupid. Like, they're stupid and evil. Well, not Barricade. So what is the purpose of the Transformers? What's the tagline of the entire fucking concept of Transformers?
Robots in disguise.
Yes, robots in disguise. And I don't know about you, Brad, but do you think a bright yellow future car that doesn't exist yet is a good disguise compared to a police car with the holographic projection of a policeman?
I always wondered that, because all the Autobots are like fancy sports cars.
Yeah, and they drive through the desert. In later movies, they do military missions. And there's like a shot, like a glamour shot of these like bright cars driving across a military battlefield in like the Ukraine or some shit.
You know what's easy to shoot? A bright car driving across the field.
Do you know what stands out as well? Like a bright fucking blue truck.
You know what doesn't stand out? Some kind of military vehicle.
Yeah, like...
and they've proven they can transform at will.
Yeah, well, Bumblebee does it when he turns into a new Camaro. He should have turned into a fucking police car. It's like, I know Bumblebee's like protecting Sam, but he's a better disguise being a beat up old shit Camaro, because that doesn't look out of place. Oh yeah, we've got to go on all these military missions, and I'm going to stay as a big fucking truck that's like, it's got the turning circle of a shopping trolley full of beer. In universe, the Decepticons are so much smarter, and the idea that the Transformers never decide to turn into anything else and need help from the military to go to all these military sites where they're helping them, instead of just turning all into jets and flying there and just doing it all, just like bombarding that shit from orbit.
I think GM Motors, though, missed a trick by not having their rivals' cars as the Decepticons, because they could have been like, oh, look at that car. That car's trying to murder someone. Our car won't do that.
The thing is, though, like we've talked about it before when it comes to product placement, where companies who pay for their products to appear in a movie generally don't like, they have exclusivity clauses and stuff that stop rival products from appearing. And I think, like, as fun as that would have been, there's no fucking way a company's going to do that. But it would have been hilarious, because there is product placement in that first Transformers movie where the product does kill somebody, because Mountain Dew and Microsoft both have products in that movie that turn into Decepticons and murder people. So I think they should have done that, but no, General was like, we don't want our car shown running people over, which is probably a thing, like, it's probably good that that footage doesn't exist.
Imagine that, like a line of dialogue, Shia LaBeouf's like, oh my god, that Ford Mustang just tried to kill me.
They don't put any branding on it, so it's not technically a Mustang, but it's very obviously one based on like the way it's like the shape of it. And they, instead of having any branding on it, it has like the Decepticon logo, and then instead of protect and serve, it has punish and enslave. How do the Decepticons even know what that means? Also, the plot of the first movie is that we want those glasses. Why don't they just buy them on eBay? Like, could the Decepticons not like hack into a bank and like get a PayPal account and just put like $400 on it and buy those glasses off him and then take over the world? And then Megatron could just come down and start like, you know, just beasting on everybody.
Karl, stop picking holes in a masterpiece of a movie.
It's like, it's more the fact like, this movie's already a piece of shit, why am I even giving it a second thought? But at the same time, I love the Transformers, so I kind of like, I have to do this. Like, why? Why Transformers? Getting back to Bumblebee though, in his first car form, the production crew did indeed make that Camaro look as shitty as possible, going as far to replace the wheels on it because they were too good. And that's just great, isn't it, Brad? The fact that they looked at it, because I think the ones they got all had matching wheels, and they went, nah, let's replace the wheels and make them mismatched, because that's just taking the piss. And it's weird as well if you read some of the behind the scenes stuff, like how much thought they put into some stuff compared to other stuff. Like Bumblebee's interior, it's one of the few, like, you know, Autobots you see the interior of. It was originally all black leather, and so we didn't like that because it's not very friendly, because it just made the inside look like a black hole. So we replaced it with like more worn, but like, you know, more neutral coloured upholstery.
What the heck is it? I don't know nothing about this car.
And the fact they put that much thought into a Transformers movie annoys me a little bit, because like you put that much effort into that much thought and effort into the interior of Bumblebee, but then you have the second movie where like Devastator's just got giant fucking wrecking ball testicles. It's like, ugh, pick a side. Make it stupid or make it, like, you know, semi-realistic. You can't have both. You can't have it, Michael Bay. Stop it.
So we made fun of Shia LaBeouf a bit, which I think is unfair.
Yeah,
because he's a decent actor.
I think he's an alright actor, and he's had some good roles. It's just obviously the Transformers movies are what he's best known for. And can you really fault him for, like, you know, overacting and hamming it the fuck up in those movies? Because I want you to do something for me now, Brad, and that is just put in a quick supercut of a cut all the times, or as many times as you can find, of him saying the words Optimus or Bumblebee, because they are the only lines he ever seems to say. He just screams, it's like, Optimus, Bumblebee! It's like every other line in the movie.
Optimus! Bumblebee! Optimus! Wow! Wow!
So with that in mind, Brad, what's your favourite Shia LaBeouf role?
I think he was good in Halls.
I think my choice for favourite Shia LaBeouf role is a film called Disturbia, which I don't think many people saw, but it's I forget, it's a remake of an older film, definitely, because obviously it's a plot that's been done before, and it's basically Shia LaBeouf is trapped in his house and thinks his neighbour is a murderer. And obviously that's the thing The Simpsons have parodied before, isn't it? Where Bart broke his leg and he thinks Ned Flanders is a murderer.
And he has the head in the fridge.
Yeah, and they put like the direct reference into the film. It's like, you know, parodying, where the guy's like, "Oh God, that kid's coming to kill me," and he's like, he falls out of his chair. But no, like they update it for the modern age in that, where he hasn't broke his leg, or he's not like housebound. He's under house arrest.
Okay, you're all set to go nowhere.
And if I recall, I think there's a scene in the movie where it just becomes skeleton. And I don't know what I remember, but I just remember there's a bit in the movie where it just like Shia LaBeouf's character's world just turns to skeleton. And I don't know if I remember it, but I just remember there's a scene of Shia LaBeouf yelling at a skeleton. And that image is so ingrained in my head, I don't know if it's from that movie or not. So I want you to find out for me about if it is. And just to end this video, just a shot of Shia LaBeouf yelling at a skeleton.